appealing, concise, impactful. Few of the main pointers that are required to convey your ideas to the audience in a moment. We as undergraduates are usually confused how to channelize our thoughts into words effectively. Uncertain on how to design the research and lab work properly. We don't know how to make a proper technical presentation. Myself, Ankita Modi, convener of TechTakva 2020, take the pleasure to welcome Dr. Shrikant Prabhu to guide us in making an impactful research paper. Dr. Shrikant Prabhu is currently an associate professor, senior scale at Department of Computer Science and Engineering, MIT Manipal. He received the Best Authoritarian Award from FTMS Malaysia. He is also awarded with the Best Project Award for MTech project entitled Face Recognition System for Criminal Identification using Distant Computed at IIT Kharagpur. With 22 years of work experience, he guides PhD students. He has published research papers in journals with an impact factor of more than 7, published at Scopus Index and Web of Science. He has also published papers in Scopus Index national and international conferences. Dr. Shrikant Prabhu holds experience in consultancy projects from CoalNet, OLIMNS, ERP IT Kharagpur. He is currently the lead Indian supervisor of Deakin University, Melbourne, Australia. He has given keynote address as Gongxi University, Nanning, China in November 2018. He has also presented his papers in France, Italy, Malaysia, Singapore, Japan. Attended Rotary International Conventions in USA, Canada, Germany. He has organized CSIR, DRDO, IBHM, Infosys, AICT funded workshops, conferences in coordination with Department of Mathematics titled Computer Applications Using Modern Algebra. Currently, he is associated with facial analysis in cyber forensic software development with the Department of Forensic Medicine and Toxicology in coordination with SIFS New Delhi. Dr. Shrikant Prabhu is an alumnus of IIT Kharagpur. His skill sets lie in engineering mathematics, computer organization and architecture, digital engineering, software engineering, OOAD using UML, design of operating systems, Linux internals, software architecture, ADPMS, DBMS AI, machine learning, software computing, neural networks, parallel programming, SADA, DBAS, SDOOP. He has worked on various interdisciplinary projects in association with IBM Rational, Samsung PRISM, HPE, Novartis, Cerner Healthcare. Dr. Shrikant Prabhu has been awarded as the Distinguished Toastmaster at Toastmaster International USA. He has been working with the Center of Geopolitics, Department of Gastroenterology, Ophthalmology, Orthopedics, Neurology KMC Manipal on various bioinformatics projects. He has also been part of Synergic Manipal Integrated Leadership Engagement Program. Currently, he is the Placement Officer at CSE Department, Mutbi Coordinator for CSE, Mentor at MUSRF, MIT SRF, CSE Department Newsletter, Chairperson of Class Committee and Subject Coordinator. He is associated with Rotary Club as the District Chairman, ACM Club of MIT as faculty sponsor, Toastmaster Club, DTM, IEEE Site Chair. We are pleased to welcome Dr. Shrikant Prabhu with us. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Are you able to see the screen?
Yes, sir.
PPT? Are you able to see?
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, right. Now, before I go there, yeah. Good evening, all of you.
Good evening, sir.
Thank you, Ankita, for the introduction. I'm delighted to be here to give a talk on this topic. How do you make effective research paper presentation, and that too, how you make it as an art? And at the end, I will tell you all the different symposiums we are going to have after Tech Tattva, wherein we are allowing foreign delegates to participate with us, and it is totally free of cost. The first one is from November 23rd, November 23rd, November 24th, November 25th. So before you go into that, and before you go into Tech Tattva, let me talk about, I should say this is a very hot topic these days, which can bring in a lot of fortunes for all of you. Right. So making effective research presentation and art. All of us can make presentations, but how many of us can make research presentations? Even this question I have to ask myself. Am I able to make an effective research presentation? Then comes the next question. Are my research presentations an art? Then only it will be liked by the stakeholders who are listening to me, and I get positive feedback. I hope everybody is able to see it, right? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. Right. Okay. Now, what is the abstract of my talk today? So for a beginner, presenting a research paper at a conference as a podium presentation can be a daunting task. And most of you are trying to present your ideas as papers in the Tech Tattva. So what is required? So I put it gender neutral. He or she is required to choose an appropriate conference for presentation. So when I say appropriate conference, it is Tech Tattva here. You have to prepare an abstract, then prepare slides and the speech that goes parallel with the slides, and train yourself or oneself to answer questions posed by the audience. So you need to have a paper, then slides, and then you need to be prepared to face the questions from the audience, and then you have to give answers. And he or she has also got to overcome the fear of speaking in public and conquer the phobia of encountering a hostile audience ready to shred her paper to pieces. Many a times it happens. Audience are going to ponder questions on you. They are going to they are not going to accept your ideas. Then you have to convince them about your ideas. Once again they will not accept. Once again you convince. So this will be a recursive phenomenon, say for a 1 hour talk by you, as I am giving now. So this communication intends to provide useful tips on how to go about and presenting a research paper, basically, right? So basically this paragraph, what it states is how you can make an abstract, how you can prepare your slides on that abstract so that it is presentable. Here it is in Tech Tattva, and then your speech has to be in coherence with the slides. And then you have to face the questions and answer them, and it goes on basically, right? Now, what are the different steps involved to do this, making effective research presentation and art? I said anybody can make a research presentation, but it should be an art. So at the end of your talk, everybody should say that we have understood there was some idea you have sold and we want to buy that idea. May not be as a copyright or may not be as a patent, but we want to emulate that idea somewhere else. Now, how do we look at it? Before that, there are three words here: science, society, and technology. So you can make your papers on either an abstraction, which is called as science, or you can make your paper on an idea, which is also called engineering, which means society, or you can make your paper on technology, which is called as product. These three words have to be understood by all of you. Science, mathematics, physics, chemistry, they are all abstractions. Engineering means it is an idea. Both these words mean the same. So idea or engineering makes society, and product makes technology, right? So you can give your talks, or you can make your papers parallel to your talks either on science or on society or on technology or in any permutations of these three words. Say you can make on science and society, or science and technology, or society and technology, or science, society and technology. So if these three words are falling in place, you understand exactly where you stand, right? And when I say technology here, it does not mean only railway technology or aerospace technology or supermarket technology. It can be even clinical technology, pharmaceutical technology, sports technology, veterinary technology. So anything created by God, you are trying to create once again in any of the spheres of life. That means technology. And here you are trying to make a product, right? So as I said, all permutations you can take when you want to give a talk or make a paper parallel to that talk, right? Now, what are the different steps involved? Step one, identify the core message and decide if podium presentation is the appropriate format. Remember, you are all targeting now Tech Tattva. So you need a podium where you are going to present your paper. So when you are presenting your paper, you are not going to show the paper directly, but you are going to show your paper through PowerPoint slides. Right? I will show you both as examples. Right? PowerPoint slides and paper, how it goes basically. All right. Step two, sorry, choose the most appropriate conference. Here it is Tech Tattva now, and get all the information you need about the conference. So as I said, it is Tech Tattva. And what are the different informations you require about Tech Tattva? So first information is when will it be? Second information is how do you have to present the paper? How do you have to present the slides? How many slides you should have? What are the different parts of slides? What are the different parts of paper? Remember, the title of the paper and the title in the slides both should be same. You cannot give one title in slides and one title in the paper. Right? So you are presenting only one idea. So it should be same on the paper, which will be say 6 sheets or 7 sheets or 3 sheets. And that you will convert as PowerPoint slides. Right. Step 3, make a plan and stick to it. Okay. Now, before I go ahead, I will show you an example of one paper. Okay. Look at it. Right. So this is a research paper published in a Journal of Medical Imaging and Health Informatics. I hope all of you are able to see, right? Are you able to see everybody?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
So this is the title of the paper. Study of retinal biometric systems with respect to feature classification for recognition and diabetic retinopathy. So you are trying to study biometrics as systems where the biometric data are retinal data, and here you are finding out the respective recognitions of the retinal data, and also if people are diabetic, then you are trying to find out diabetic retinopathy on those data. Retinopathy means disease of retina due to diabetes. So if you read this title, there are two parts. One is authentication using retinal data. Second is disease recognition, where the disease is diabetes. And you're trying to do disease recognition on the retinal data. So this is the title of the paper. Same thing will come on the PowerPoint slides, right? If you see, the initial part of the paper is an abstract. In short, what the paper is all about. You put all the authors and where they belong to, then the introduction of the paper, something like computer methods, and I will come to it. I will come to the different parts of the paper. You just have a look how the paper is written. This is what is called as 2-column format of making a paper. right? It's a 2-column format. So basically what happens is you start to write your paper. It goes from here till here, then it continues here, it goes here. So while writing, you write it as a whole page. Then you select 2-column format in MS Word and you convert it. So this is how a basic paper looks like, right? I will not go through the intricate details of this, that is not required. So this is how a paper looks like. Okay, right. Now let me come back. Right. Now, if you look at these 3 points, what is the takeaway home from these 3 points? First is you need to decide the title of the paper, core message, right? And you decide whether podium presentation is appropriate. So these days you are not going to make podium presentations because it is COVID-19 time. So you want to make online presentations. All right. Anyways, if the case of COVID-19 was not there, you would have gone for podium presentations. You have to go for podium presentations. You cannot go without it, right? And how do you choose the most appropriate conference? So after Tech Tattva, if you want to present your papers in other conferences, remember there are 2 keywords, Scopus and Web of Science. Choose a conference which is in Scopus. Scopus, Scopus. So Scopus is a word which is integrated in elsewhere. So once you publish a paper in a Scopus conference, you get a Scopus ID. And that Scopus ID will remain with you throughout your life. So all your papers henceforth are going to get integrated on that Scopus ID, right? So that is the way you go about it. So when I say get all the information, try to find out whether that conference is really a good conference, tier 1 or tier 2, right? That means it should be Scopus or Web of Science. Don't go for predatory conferences, right? Wherein they just charge you some money and you publish certain papers, but it never gets indexed in good organizations like Scopus or Web of Science, right? And step number 3 is you need to make a plan to make the paper and stick to it. I'll come to the plan now. Right. Now, what are the important points before you go to the different parts of the paper? Right. So, importance of a oral presentation of research paper or papers by presenters. So, when you're doing a oral presentation, you have written a paper already, like what I showed you just now. That was a journal paper. Conference paper looks similar, right? So, point number 1, it's an opportunity to convey important results of a recently concluded research. So your oral presentation should do that. It is a chance to enhance skills, summarizing the research work, public speaking, and effectively communicating research findings and defending your work. So it serves 2 purposes. You sell your ideas and you improve your public speaking skills, basically, right? Then discussions during the session can help you understand various aspects. Now, with whom will you discuss? With the audience. So in the audience, you will have faculty and you will have your classmates, your seniors, your juniors, your alumni, or anybody else. It can be any other guest also, right? So you have to make discussions with them. Now, how do you summarize all these points? So there are 3 things here: communication, thinking, listening. So when you are speaking, it becomes communication through the PowerPoint presentation, right? Now, what do you mean by thinking? So when you are communicating, sometimes you will ask questions to the audience. So to give answers to those questions of yours, audience needs to think, right? So second part is thinking. So this can come from the audience when you ask questions, or if the audience asks you questions, audience interrupts you and audience asks you certain questions, then you have to think. So this thinking is a two-way process. Either you do it or the audience does it, depending on the spot questions from your side or from audience side. The questions are not prepared, basically. So thinking comes very handy there. Third part, it is called as listening. Now, why listening is required? Listening is required for properly evaluating the audience or the speaker. So who evaluates the audience? It is the speaker who evaluates the audience. And who evaluates the speaker? It is the audience. So if these three go in tandem, that is communication, thinking, and listening, then your oral presentation comes fine. It becomes excellent. And these are the summary points, right? I just went through it. So basically the first part that is still here, right? It talks about the presenter, how the presenter has to present through a PPT presentation, a research paper. And what are those parts of the paper? I will come to it in the next slides. Right? I just showed you one example how a research paper looks like in a journal. Right? Now, delegates. As I said, audience. So you can call delegates to be audience. And you can expect anybody, right, who is working in the interdisciplinary areas where you are speaking on, basically. So for the delegates, and it will be an opportunity to clarify doubts and learn from researchers' hands-on experience. So when you are speaking, delegates will learn. It is not only delegates watch, because there'll be people in the audience who are seeing PPT presentations on research for the first time. So they also will learn. So when next time they come, say if next year they are coming for Tech Tattva, then they will get a chance to present better, right? So that is what these sentences mean: a chance to widen the network of researchers with common interests and developing new ideas for research. Now remember, if you look at the title of my talk, making effective research presentation an art, if this has to happen, then these three words, communication, thinking, listening, have to go coherently. Communication cannot go independently. This communication can be from you to the audience or from audience to you. Thinking, it can be either you thinking or the audience thinking, depending on who asks the questions, right? Listening, this is basically what I said, evaluation. So evaluation will be basically by the audience. The audience evaluates how the speaker spoke, right? And the feedback is given. So if your research idea or your research paper presentation, right, if it has to be an art, then these three words have to go in tandem. It cannot go independently, right? Step 4, prepare the abstract. So once your podium is arranged, you have got the title for your presentation, that means for your paper, and you have got the correct conference where you are presenting it, and you have made a plan for it. So when step 1, step 2, step 3 are satisfied, you make an abstract and you submit it. I will show you certain abstracts basically, right? And then draft the content for slides and speech, right? Now let us see two parts. What are the parts of the PowerPoint presentation and what are the parts of the paper for which you are making the PowerPoint presentation? First, let us see the contents of paper. Your paper should contain these parts: abstract, introduction, literature survey, gaps, objectives, methodology, results, analysis, conclusion, scope of future work, references. So this will be there in your paper. Same thing you can translate it to slides also. So while presenting the slides, you can make 3 to 4 slides for abstract or 2 slides, 3 to 4 for introduction, 3 to 4 for literature survey, then gaps, objectives. Now let us understand what do you mean by these words, right? Remember, you want to make your research presentation as an art, basically, right? Now, the meaning of the word abstract is, in short, what your paper means, right? What are you trying to communicate through your paper? That is what you're going to put in abstract, basically. The meaning of introduction is you introduce your paper, right? And remember, when I say paper, it is or they are on sheets. They can be 3 sheets, 4 sheets, or 5 sheets. Same abstract you can put on the PowerPoint presentation also, because PowerPoint presentation is for the paper. right? So PowerPoint presentations are made to convince the audience, to convince the audience through a correct logic, basically, right? So PowerPoint presentation and the paper has to go parallelly, right? So all these things will be there on the PowerPoint presentation also, right? Okay. Only thing is the fonts of words or lines will be bigger in size in a PowerPoint presentation, right? Will be more highlighted. There will be more better resolutions so that the whole audience who is sitting and listening can understand, right? Whereas a research paper is not only for that particular audience, right? It is for the whole world to see, because that research paper, when you write, when it gets published, it will come on Google. So through Google, not only you or the audience on that particular day, but anybody else on any other day after your presentation can see what you spoke on that particular day. Say on November 23rd, when you made a presentation, what you spoke. Did you speak sense? And they can keep giving feedbacks next year, after 2 years, after 3 years for the same paper. So that is the idea. So there are certain situations where you should say that they are PowerPoint presentations. There are situations where you should say that they are papers, right? So PowerPoint presentations is only for the audience when you are speaking to them, whereas a paper will remain forever, right? Throughout your life, not inside your body, but on the computer, right? So that becomes more clear, and it makes sense also. Now, what do you mean by introduction? So whenever you are making a PowerPoint presentation or writing a paper, you have to introduce the topic. Like I introduce myself as Dr. Shrikant Prabhu, right? That does not mean that I have completed whatever I have to speak today. It's only introduction. Now, what do you mean by literature survey? The meaning of the words literature survey is or are, you do a survey on what work has been done in your field, right? Like if you are taking a field called as computer networks, you do a survey on computer networks. If you have got a field called as heat transfer, you do a survey on heat transfer, because heat transfer is a subject which comes from mechanical engineering. If you have got a subject called as tribology, so you do a survey on tribology. Tribology comes from mechanical engineering. If you are getting a subject called as signals and systems, so you do a survey on signals and systems, like what has been done in signals and systems, Fourier transforms, Laplace transforms, Z transforms. So these are all subjects in electrical and electronics and communication engineering. If you get a subject on railway technology and you have been told to make a bullet train, so you do a survey on the existing railway technologies in India, and then you work towards bullet technology. So that is the meaning of the word survey. What work has been done already, that is what is called survey, right? Once you do literature survey, you come to know certain things have not been done, and they are called as gaps, which you want to work on. You want to work on these gaps. You search for two gaps. You cannot work on all the gaps. It is impossible. Your whole life is not enough for working on all the gaps. Take two gaps, right? List them as sentences. Then convert those sentences which are called as gaps into objectives. Objectives directly depend on gaps. If you don't have gaps, there are no objectives. You become stagnant. You cannot continue any further. That is why when we go for gaps, we look at the feasibility also. Are these gaps feasible to be solved? If they are not feasible to be solved, then we cannot get good objectives. So if there are two gaps, there will be two objectives. And for those two objectives, give two methodologies. How do you solve those objectives? The mathematical preliminaries, etc. Before methodology, there is one more word which I have missed. It is called as mathematical models, right? I missed this. So you need to have a mathematical model for these objectives. So if there are two objectives, You can imagine a mathematical model to be a flow chart. In a flow chart, what do you have? If something, do this, else do this. So that is what is called as a mathematical model. So if there are two objectives, if objective 1, do something, else objective 2, do something. So that becomes a mathematical model. So when you have two paths, for objective 1 there is one path, for objective 2 there is another path. For both the paths you have two methodologies, right? And for those methodologies you give the results, because you can call the methodologies to be algorithms. You know what are algorithms, right? You have studied in first year, all of you, right? Like a for loop, a branching structure, right? That is if else, or inside if else if else, or do while loop, and all these things. So you put in a pseudocode format. So methodologies means they are all small algorithms. They are not the results. So you write certain codes, right, using programming these days. Like mechanical people might use CAD CAM, computer people might use Python, civil people might use MATLAB, electrical people might use MATLAB, electronics people might use MATLAB or Cadence, computer science people might use C++, Java. So then you will get results when you run those programs. You get the results, you analyze those results with the survey. So remember, analysis is done with the work what already has been done. How good your results are with respect to the existing results in literature survey, right? That is what you write here, whether your results are good. And if your results are not good, why it is so, you have to justify. And then you need to point out, even if the results are not good, but the methodologies are going on the correct path. So that is what is analysis. Once you analyze and you say that your work is better than already existing work, you conclude, and then you give the scope of future work and you give all the references. So when you give references, there are certain formats: Harvard format, IEEE format. So in references, you mention all the papers what you have referred. You have to cite them. Remember, once you get good citations, you get good H index, right? And H index will remain throughout your life. When you go abroad for higher education, that is very, very important. To get good citations for your conference papers, it can be Tech Tattva or any other conference paper. Sometimes once you publish your paper in a conference, that paper will be referred to a journal from the conference. So you get double advantage. You get the advantage of the conference and a journal also. You see, once you publish your paper in the conference and it goes to a journal also, then I am pretty sure your research presentation, what you made through PowerPoint slides, it becomes an art. Because once you made that PowerPoint presentation, audience gave a very good feedback. There will be referees also who evaluate your paper. Depending on the feedback of the referees and the audience, your paper might get referred to a journal. Then naturally it becomes an art, right? Otherwise, your paper will stop at the conference level itself. But anyway, it's okay. It's an art because you are presenting in a national forum or an international forum, right? So it becomes very interesting. Now let us look at in the PowerPoint slides. This is in the paper. In the PowerPoint slides, what do you present and how many slides you give? It is clearly mentioned. I will send you this research paper. This research paper is written on how to make a good research paper and how to give good PowerPoint presentations. So there should be a title slide. There should be competing interests. The meaning of the words competing interests is or are literature survey. From the literature survey, you will come to know how many competitive people like you have worked in that particular field. Put one slide. Introduction, one slide. Objectives, one slide. Methodology, one or two slides. Results, one or two slides. Discussion means analysis, basically. Then conclusions. So this broadly goes on the lines of these points, basically. All right. So just see parallelly. This is this is for the slides, and this is for a paper presentation. So your points have to be very, very strong, because you want to make your idea, which is a paper in Tech Tattva, to go to a journal. And you never know, once it goes to a journal, it might become a patent. And from a patent, you might get an idea to have a startup. Remember, all the startup companies in the world have come from universities. Google has come from Stanford. It came from a research paper called as Rank Paging Algorithm by Rajiv Motwani, Larry Page, and Sergey Brin in 1998. Right? And that research paper, they never knew it is going to make one company which will be a multi-billion-dollar company, and which will become one of the hottest search engines, right? Which will be used all over the world. But these days in China, you don't have Google, they have Baidu. It is parallel to Google, started by Robin Lee. In India also we had Google called as Guruji.com, but it failed. It started from Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi, by two of their alumni, but it failed. Now I would like to ask you a question. Why did it fail? Did Guruji.com did not go by this theme, making effective research presentation an art? Because first, Guruji.com was presented in a forum through PowerPoint slides, and that presentation had a research paper like rank paging algorithm for Google. Then why it did not become an art? Why Indian people did not use it, whereas Baidu is being used by everybody in China and Google is wiped out? So this question I pose to you, which has got lot of relevance with this topic. All right. Okay. Now, what are the tips for making better slides? Now I am looking only at the PowerPoint presentation for that research paper, right, on which you are giving a talk in Tech Tattva. So these are all certain basic things. Slide formatting, right? The longest dimension should be horizontal one. So remember, you can see this is horizontal. Don't make it vertical, and make this more constricted. Don't bring this inside, and don't bring this inside more. Then you cannot see these words and lines clearly, right? So it should be a horizontal presentation, not a vertical one. Choose background color properly. Yellow, brown, like what I have chosen here. Do not have too many words in a line, not more than 6. Do not have too many lines on a slide. So remember, per line number of words, per slide number of lines. It's very, very important. Leave adequate margin of at least 1 centimeter between the lettering and outer margin of the slide. If you can see this slide, I have taken it directly from that particular journal. So you can see the sentences are very close by. Sometimes it will not look nice, right? So you can put them as bullet points in separate slides, all these. Now, what about textual matter, right? Second, right? Keep text to a minimum. This is directly related with these two sentences, right? So select a good, easily readable font. For emphasis, increase letter size. Or so remember, if you have written a good paper should have a good presentation. Why? Because you might be trying for the best paper award in Tech Tattva, or you might be trying for sending your paper to a journal, or you might be trying that your paper from the journal should go to a copyright or a patent. So your presentations have to be very strong on all these points. Slide formatting, textual matter, figures and graphs. And next is content. What are the contents basically? When I say contents, they are all these basically. It has to be very, very clear, right? So here main thing is content. Remember, main thing is content. Okay, right? And others, whatever other things like colors, what will you use? Right? Overdoing color should not be done. One sentence in black, one sentence in blue, all these things, right? You have to be very, very careful when you make a professional presentation. I will show you some, right? Now, what is step 6? Practice and time your speech, because every talk or every PowerPoint presentation in Tech Tattva will have a deadline. You will be given 7 minutes or 10 minutes and 2 or 3 minutes for questions. You should not cross the deadline. Then you lose your opportunity for winning the prize, because the decision on prize are made on 3 main points. One is how strong your idea is. Second is how good your paper presentation is. Third is whether you have followed the deadline. Right? So it is very, very important. Last one, familiarize with the hall and the audio visual system. Remember, you are selling your idea through the PowerPoint presentation. Okay. Right. So when I talk about these things in the PowerPoint presentation, right, it is directly linked with delivering the presentation. So when you are delivering the presentation, these points have to be very clear, because they are all slides and you are making these slides based on these contents, and these contents are coming from the research paper. So you should have the research paper first, then only you can get these contents, either this way or this way, right? Both are same. So first paper, then you get this, and then you go for making slides basically. Right? So once your slides are ready, then you go for delivering the presentation. Right? So these are the 8 steps for making an effective research presentation as an art. I'll show you certain examples for that carefully, and look at those examples and give me certain answers basically. Okay, right. Now, on what subjects you can make papers? Right. Mathematics, physics, chemistry, they come basically in science, in abstraction. Right. What do you mean by abstraction? They are all formulae, right? So they are all called as abstractions. So you can make on them. Engineering. What do you mean by engineering? You have to be very clear about it. Society. Or what do you mean by idea? Society. Any society is an idea or engineering, right? Okay. Clinical sciences. So you can make papers on clinical sciences, bioinformatics, biomedical, both. You can make papers on architecture, infrastructure. These days, lot of work is going on smart cities, smart signaling systems, right? You can write papers on sports medicine. You can write papers on veterinary sciences. You can write papers on, say, dog psychology, Rottweilers, Saintweilers, Pittweilers, etc., etc. So these are all the interdisciplinary areas on which you can make papers, and on those papers you make the PowerPoint presentation, and then you present those PowerPoint presentations in Tech Tattva, because Tech Tattva is now very close. Right. Now let me make one small note. Right. How do you generate a PowerPoint presentation? Right. How do you link all the subjects? So when you are making a paper, these days you have to have some programs. I told you, either C, C++, MATLAB, Cadence, Spark, Python, depending on which branch you are in, computer science, mechanical, electrical, electronics, civil, any branch, I should say, can work on automation these days. So these basic programs, you have to look in terms of data structures. Now, what do you mean by data structures? Do you have a stack? Do you have a queue? Like in a railway station, you stand in queue. So the person who goes first will come out first. First in, first out. What is a stack? You just go on piling. Last in, first out. Imagine. So are you able to visualize like this? So you don't have to be a computer science engineer. You have to have common sense first to understand before you write a paper. So let us not talk about PowerPoint presentations. Let us try to understand that, do we get these basic words? Data structures. You are putting data in certain structure format, like stack, queue, or like a list. What do you mean by list? There is one data called Shrikant Prabhu. Shrikant Prabhu is addressing to Ashok. Ashok is addressing to Sita. Sita is addressing to Kumar. So can you see this chain? Shrikant Prabhu, Ashok, Sita, Sita, Ram. So when I am addressing to Ashok, I know the address of Ashok. Ashok knows my address. When Ashok addresses Sita, Ashok knows the address of Sita. Sita knows the address of Ashok. Indirectly, Sita knows the address of mine because Ashok comes from me only. I am going towards Ashok, Ashok goes towards Sita. Then Sita goes to Rama. So Sita knows the address of Rama, Rama knows the address of Sita. So there is a meaning of data structure. Can you put all the datas in terms of certain structures, basically, right? Then you look at all the data structures in a system program format. What do you mean by system program? Classical examples, right? Small components of programs, right? Like in railways, the signaling systems, they have to be programmed. So that is only one component, signaling systems, right? Another component in railways can be all the trains have to be tracked in a radar screen. So that is another component. So one is signaling system, tracking system. So all different components seen through a computer. You require mechanical engineers, you require civil engineers, you require electrical, electronic, combination of these to work on tracking systems, to work on signaling systems. So that becomes a systems program. Convert that systems program to a compiler means you combine the signaling system and the tracking system together. Look at the signals and look at the tracks, because when the train is running, the engine driver should know what signal it is, and the engine driver also should know what are the condition of the tracks. So combination of all, it becomes a compiler, right? So compiler is a word which comes from computer science, but what do you mean by compile? The meaning of the word compile is take everything together and see ahead what is going to happen. Convert these compilers to embedded systems. The meaning of the word embedded is deployment. Deploy and see how the systems work, right? And then convert those deployed systems into one language which is called as unified modeling language. How do you deploy the systems? Find out their requirements. Find out their use cases. Use cases and requirements, both words mean same. What are the requirements from where you started? How you program? Because if there is an error or if there is any fatality, if there is any accident in any system, it can be railways, it can be aerospace, it can be a steel plant, it can be a power system, it can be a chip making company, anywhere accidents can happen. So that you try to find out. It is what is called as risk mitigation through artificial intelligence, machine learning, artificial neural networks, deep learning. So whenever you are making any system, be it in mechanical, civil, electrical, biomedical, biotechnology, chemical, computer science, IT, or basic sciences, or arts, or forensic engineering, or sports medicine, in any field, finally, at the end of the day, you have to do risk mitigation. How good your systems are. And you are writing a paper on that. You are writing a paper on one particular system on which you have worked on. And you want to make that paper presentable as an art through PowerPoint slides. So writing a paper becomes, in my title, research, only research. PowerPoint presentation becomes research presentation. So your paper is research, your PowerPoint presentation is research presentation. A combination of research and research presentation should look like an art, right? So understand the words. What do you mean by research? So trying to find out something, right, from the existing literature and inventing something new. So that becomes basically gaps and objectives. Trying to find out something, what is not there and what can be made as objectives. That is research. And you get papers. And research presentation means PowerPoint presentation. And that should be an art. A combination of research and research presentation, when it becomes an art, then it becomes very, very effective. If your research and research presentation, that means your PowerPoint presentation, is not an art, then you can never go for a copyright and a patent, or you can think about a startup, right? So think on these lines. Now I'll give you certain examples. Right. So this is one PowerPoint presentation. This is my PhD topic on which I defended my thesis. So title is there. So you can see the contents first. The contents have been made, given. So what do you mean by definition of biometric? Then what is human retina? Can you see? So first I have just introduced. Then literature survey. So how do you give survey? So you give the author name and then you give the year. Basically, what it talks are these papers are put at the end. So you can see all the different, you write like this, zooming et al. Et al means other authors. And then you mention the year of that paper. Tell what that paper does. Like this. So these are all literature surveys. What work has been done, right? On authentication and on one disease of retina on which I am working on. And that disease is diabetic retinopathy. Disease of retina due to diabetes. So these are all the different literatures. So you can see. So Ali et al. So one of the author is Ali. Other authors you don't have to mention. Any research paper can have more than one author. Usually it will have more than one author. And the year when it was published. So this is the way you make PowerPoint presentations. Then gaps. What are the gaps I have identified? You can see gaps. So on these gaps, I thought I can work on, right? So this is based on image processing. So you write the gaps like this. Clear segmentation of images for calculating invariant characteristics of retina. So in the existing literature, this has not been done. This has not been done in depth. So I am working on this, right? And I came to know from this paper. The author is Joas, the first author. Other authors I am not mentioning. So from this paper, I came to know that work has not been done extensively on this area. From this paper, I came to know work has not been done in this particular area. Extraction of diabetic features taking into account artifacts, outliers. So work has not been done here. Even if it has been done, but it has not been done in a great depth. And third one. So I'm going to work on these three. These three, I convert them as objectives. I'm making them as only two objectives. One is classification, like a biometric. Second is, if at all, the data is having deceased features, then work on that, basically. So it comes basically from these three, right? This one maps to this one. The second two, this one, right? And this one, it maps to the second one. Remember, this last one also maps to first one, right? Basically, this work is on feature extraction and classification. So feature extraction for normal data, for abnormal data. So this is the way I have mapped the gaps and objectives. Can you see? Basically, gaps means what has not been done and what you think you can do. Then you can mention scope. Scope means feasibility. Is it feasible to solve using these objectives? It should be logical. Then the model, the mathematical model. You can see the mathematical model. If it is normal, you go here. Abnormal, go here. I told you it's like a flow chart. It's a mathematical model. Then data collection. You can put certain extra things from where you collected the data. Then the methods. All the methods you showed. Methodology. Okay, the different methods what you use, right? All these are methods, right? Then the salient features of your methods, conclusion and scope. So this is one thing extra. You have to say how your methodology is salient, new, basically. Okay, you can say it's analysis, basically, analysis. So how do you say something is salient? You compare with the literature. You compare all these methods with the literature. Here, you compare here with this. You go here. So in this part, you do comparisons, right? So in this way, you make a PowerPoint presentation. So the basic idea is The basic idea is how strong your objectives are, how new your objectives are, how innovative your objectives are. Right? That will define if your objectives can become a copyright or can go to a patent. So that you have to prove through your PowerPoint presentation, and that is what is called research presentation. So research means it's only a paper. Remember, research does not mean writing a paper and throwing it in dustbin. You can become an entrepreneur. You can become a billionaire. There are enough examples. Sun Microsystems, Vinod Khosla, right? Google, Rajiv Motwani, Larry Page, Sergey Brin, Stanford University. Internet, it came from University of California, Irvine, by a PhD thesis authored by Roy Fielding Thomas. And it was marketed by Tim Berners-Lee, who is a BA graduate. He was working in CERN, Germany. Marketing was done by a BA graduate, Tim Berners-Lee. But the concept of REST architecture, it came from a research paper through a PhD thesis in University of California, Irvine. Author is Roy Fielding Thomas. The whole thesis is online on internet. Go and check it. Roy Fielding Thomas, REST architecture. He writes in the third page, dedicated to Tim Berners-Lee, who made World Wide Web open to the world in 1994. So a research converted into a research presentation in his PhD defense by Roy Fielding Thomas. It became an art, and today that art is being used by all of us through web browsers, be it Mozilla Firefox, Internet Explorer, Google Chrome, which was brought into the world by Sundar Pichai, and he became a big shot in Google. Right? So this is the way you look at all these things. Other entrepreneurs, you can take Azim Premji, who converted a soap company and an oil company into Wipro in 1981 when IBM was thrown out from India. And he thought that why can't I get a microcomputer in India? And today rest all is history. Aadhaar card, the concept, though not directly from academia, but they were produced by certain great academicians who were technologists, chartered accountants like Nandan Nilekani, Narayan Murthy, Mohandas Pai, and all these people. Right? So this is the way you look at making a paper. Think big, make your research into a good research presentation, and try to make it into an art so that you go for a copyright. The meaning of copyright is the work is yours. Once the work is yours, you try to make it innovative and say it is new. Then you can make it as an Indian patent or a US patent. Once you get that, you can start consultancy, right, on that patent. You can start to market your idea to different companies. Different companies will want your PowerPoint presentation through the research paper. So from the research paper in their own style. Say you have made a biometric product on fingerprint. Samsung will want it in one format. Cisco will want in another format. So you have to draft it and you have to package it in different formats. Right? So this is the way it goes. Last but not the least, if you can make your research presentation very effective through an art, sky is your limit. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
One last thing. After Tech Tatwa, you can all join for this. I put the dates. November 23rd, 24th, 25th, International Symposium organized by our department, Sloan School, MIT Boston, National University Singapore, Deakin University Australia, and many other universities from US, Africa, Europe, China are going to give keynote addresses, plenary addresses on the different products in technology, medicine, management, and there'll be different paper presentations as posters and papers. And also from our department, there'll be certain presentations, which will be followed by the teacher symposium. So how do we look at selling the ideas here to a set of teachers in schools? And all this has been sanctioned by our university. There is no fees charged. There are no fees, but there will be registrations. Selected people will be taken to attend. And in December, we are planning to have symposium on incubators from all over the world, right? Startup companies. If not in December, this might go to next year. And these are going to be the chain of events from now. And all these events will be webinars, very effective webinars, from research to research presentations to art through this first one. And that art will be converted into conviction through this. And then we will try to go for making products through this, right? So please do attend all these, and I'll be sending the dates, the brochures. Dates anyway has been mentioned, and for whatever dates are not mentioned, I'll send accordingly to Ankita. And whoever is attending today, please join for November 23rd, 24th, 25th, 2020. Thank you. You can learn more.
Thank you, sir. Lots of uh, events are upcoming for us. Really excited, and also thank you for guiding us so much. Moving on to some of the questions that the participants have asked us. That would you suggest us to put up papers on open access archives like ARXIV which are not peer reviewed?
Which one?
So would you suggest us to put up papers on open access archives like ARXIV which are not peer reviewed?
If the open access portals are Scopus indexed, Web of Science, you can go ahead for it. Even if they are not peer reviewed, the first and your second paper, your first and second ideas or third initial ideas and papers you can put there, so that you get an experience, you will get certain feedbacks. But don't go for plagiarism, don't copy from somewhere and put there, right? Make your ideas original. Even for me, my papers, I will show you on Scopus mine, so that you will get an idea. I have got nearly about 60 to 70 publications, out of which around 20 to 30 are just indexed in Google, right? Afterwards, I started to put in Scopus, Web of Science, and slowly I came up. I did not go directly to a Q1 journal or a Q2 journal. So there are quartiles, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 in journals, right? Same way for conferences, you have got tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. So try to put your papers in tier 1 and tier 2, right? Now I'll show you my Scopus. You can see it. You will get an idea. It is there online. I will first show you on Scopus. So this is my Scopus ID, right? And you can see all my papers. So these are all Scopus indexed. They are all decently good journals, so you can go through it. Now I will show you, I think all are there. You can see the other papers also. These are all Scopus index journals and conferences, right? So like this, you will get, once your paper, you will get a Scopus index like this. It will also come in ORCID, Mendeley. So Mendeley is also elsewhere. So once it comes in Scopus, it comes in Mendeley also. Okay, then there are other indices where it comes to. Now I'll show you one more thing which you should be very proud of. Not coming there. One second. You can go to ePrints also, and you can see other papers, right? Manipal ePrints, if you give, you will get other papers. So there'll be student names also involved. who have made papers with the faculty, and you can check for that from here. It is very slow now. Anyways, it's very slow. That's okay. So I hope you got the idea of so
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir. We have one more question from a student. So,
yeah.
as your domain expertise is on cybersecurity, what, according to you, are some of the outstanding problems in this field?
Yeah, if you're
Interdisciplinary.
working on cyber security, you should target making papers on information abuse. Suppose certain informations has been sent from the source to destination, whether those informations are reaching in the correct way and how much correct they are on the destination. So you will learn about noise removal, how much noise has been induced. Point number one. Point number two, you can work on cyber forensics, right? That is email frauds, property frauds, or what is that? Abusive emails, right? Sharing of bad images among different people, among different genders. What are cyber laws? I took this subject in forensic medicine department last semester, right? It was a big hit, and these are the areas where today the developed countries like America, Europe are looking people to work on. Biometrics, cyber abuse, cyber forensics, information abuse, differential privacy. So these are all coming in cyber security, right? Then federation learning, like deep learning, right? So here a lot of mathematics is involved, and the different parts of mathematics which should be clear for all of you. I can name those subjects like some calculus, integral differential, probability statistics, fuzzy logic, then linear algebra, then linear algebra, then vector analysis, right? It is very much required. Analytical geometry, differential geometry. So how do you look at an object in two-dimensional space, three-dimensional space? What do you mean by orthogonal vector, orthonormal vector, and all these things basically, right? So perhaps if you can keep one presentation on like how mathematics has to be applied in these points, the points what I mentioned, I'll just show it to you in these basically, in these, in these, this one. This is very logical. Everybody does it. Mechanical or computer science, you make programs, make the data into proper structures, then you make proper systems program as components, then make compilers, means you collect all the components, then you convert these compilers to embedded systems. In mechanical you have examples: blast furnaces, coke ovens, railway structural mill, or you can say heat transfer engines. So they are all embedded systems, but the controls are different. It might not be automated directly from a computer. They might be from small plasma TVs like radar screens and all. And how do you look at those embedded systems? Through AI, artificial intelligence. AI depends on machine learning because this is artificial intelligence, it's not natural. So artificial intelligence comes in a machine, and you're learning those machines. To learn those machines, like when we learn a human being, we learn their brains. So inside the machine, you have artificial neurons. So artificial neural network. And to learn this, you go in depth, it becomes deep learning. Very logical. So AI depends on this depends on this depends on this. And to come till here, you have to start from here, basic programs, right? So this is the way. So all the different mathematics involved. So I told you cyber security, the hot topics are cyber forensics and information abuse, right? We are working on it in MIT, so if anybody is interested, you can join. We have made very good papers also. We have published in different conferences. Good people have got good outputs, and people have gone ahead, right? So this is what it is. Anything else?
Okay, sir. Interdisciplinary areas are something to look out for in the modern world because every field is connected to another in some or
Yeah,
the other way.
yeah.
How should the Manipal community go about fostering and collaborating in interdisciplinary research, considering that Manipal doesn't have a rich interdisciplinary research culture?
Manipal has. I differ on that. Manipal has. I'm very proud to say that, right? I should say we are having the maximum interdisciplinary activities. Right? I'm very proud of that. And this is my duty to spread this message among all students because our student community is huge. We are having at least, not at least, my English statement is we are having 10,000 students in MIT. And all the 10,000 students are interested. It is everybody, it is going into everybody's brains. But because the student strength is huge, it is not coming on the screens or on the papers, right? Whereas if you take other foreign universities, the student strength is small. So Manipal has, and we are doing, see, for like me, I am collaborating with KMC for guiding students for the PhD or for patents, copyrights, and then I have collaborative projects with small kids through Manipal Academy of Higher Education, everything through Mahe. And many of my students in computer science, IT, ENC, electrical have collaborated. And through these collaborations, other faculty colleagues also came and they told me something from different departments. We have, only thing is this has to increase more, right? And what are the interdisciplinary areas? Let me tell you. One is you can work with geopolitics. We are having center of geopolitics here, right? Like how do you find the geopolitical situations through geographical information systems, right? So we have Professor Arvind, right? He's the right person to get. I know him very well. You can collaborate with Department of Ophthalmology, Department of Orthopedics, Department of Gastroenterology, Department of Forensic, Department of even Gynecology, wherein a lot of technical aspects are involved. And some of my faculty colleagues are doing PhD with them. Some of them have completed. Some of us have done outside. So we have lot of collaborative projects with Kasturba Medical College, either Manipal or Mangalore. Then with dentists, yeah, I will show you one paper which I made with the College of Dentistry, trying to find out the dental fractures, the minute dental fractures. When people don't know that their tooth have become fractured. So can we write a technical program through image processing to, I'll show you that paper. It's there with me, right? It's not a joke. I hope it works.
So I
This is,
guess we do have a lot of research facilities and it's a very active
yeah,
place
you
in
see
Manipal.
this, you see this paper. It's a paper written by my students collaboratively with the College of Dentistry. Dhruv Verma, Sunaina Puri, Dr. Shrikant Prabhu, Komal Smriti. This is a paper written with a dental. It's full of mathematics. You see, full of mathematics. It got accepted in a 10Con conference, and one of my paper is referred here in the reference. You can see, right? Beautifully written paper. This guy is from Delhi, Dhruv Verma. He's my student. I'm very proud of him, right? Like I'm proud of all the students. So this is one, and I told you the other collaborations. What with the ophthalmology or this. Then the other collaborations, what you can think of, with TAPME on forecasting. I am not working with TAPME, but I'm working with Deccan University on tourism forecasting, right? Like, can you write a small code to find out how many tourists are coming to a hotel, and can you improve the income generated by that hotel by writing a code and giving better solutions? So, time series analysis, Box Jenkins method, it comes in business forecasting, right? So you can work on that. So you can club with Welcome Group School of Hotel Administration. If somebody is interested, I have never done that with them, but you can try, right? And a lot of work in TAPME in School of Management also they are doing on marketing, finance with technologists, right? Other areas you can work on is document verification systems through natural language processing, NLP. So if somebody is good in English, who can write good paragraphs, good stories, good poems, and then you can make interpreters, right? So some of my students have worked on their own, but I have never tried with the humanities department here. That was my dream, wherein you can bring industrial engineering, right? So we have all the facilities and things are going everywhere in the world. It is the same. Let us not think that we don't have. We have, and let us go ahead and do more so that students can get into better opportunities in placements, or they get better universities abroad, and they can bring laurels back to our university. And remember, our university is highly ranked in the private universities in India. We are an institute of eminence, like IITs are institute of national importance. Now we are an institute of eminence. We are ranked 26th in the world in QS from India, 37th in the world in Times Higher Education ranking. Overall in QS, we are there in 700 to 750. I think we are the only one private university in many of the developing and fast developing countries. And then we have other, you can see those ranks in impact rankings. We are, I think, 300. In BRICS, we are 200. So you should be proud of these rankings. And why I'm telling this is, once you know the ranks of your university, your college, your papers get better chance to get accepted in good journals, good conferences, because the reviewers will think that the papers are coming from a very good university, which is called a university of eminence. This is the way you should work on. So you should know the positives, and we have all the facilities available, right? When we have all the facilities available, use them. So when you write a paper, when you give an idea, think that you are writing the paper and giving an idea sitting in an institute of eminence with all the possible ranks. And I'm pretty sure once you understand this point, that we have everything with us, it is just the willpower and determination of us as stakeholders that we can put it out. We can make ourselves proud for our parents, our grandparents, and also our university in a pride list which is already there. So I differ on that. We have everything. It is not we don't have, we have everything. I go with that statement. We have everything. And if at all I have made a mistake on that, I stand corrected. Okay.
Yes,
Anything
so
else?
we do have a high research culture, but I guess the freshers, the junior students, most of them are not aware of it. So I
Sure.
think that
I can suggest you some 3 or 4 webinars. One webinar on the rankings, one webinar wherein I can show you the H indices of all the different departments. Like computer science and engineering, we are having a H index of 19, 19, which is very high now. One Nobel laureate gets a H index of above 40. So computer science, IT, and computer applications put together, we are having a H index of above 45. So we are equivalent to one Nobel laureate producing more than $1.79 billion. So that a research paper has come on that. So you should be very proud. So the conversions we should know, like where do we stand, and we are there. And in all these H indices, students' involvements are there. Many of the research papers have been written in collaboration with the students, and students have got very good place. And many of these papers have been written in an interdisciplinary environment. A KMC student came and wrote along with us, or a dental student came and wrote along with us, or a geopolitics student came and wrote along with us, even from Manipal, Jaipur, even from other campuses, other deemed universities. So that synergy is there. Now this synergy has to be sent to all in all the hostels. Let us not sit in the AC rooms and just see feel the air conditioning. Let us feel the air conditioning in the correct research perspective, in the research presentation perspective, make it an art, then surely we'll be very cold and never become very hot, right? So that is the way we look at it. And you can put certain webinars logically. So this was the first one. Certain webinars you can put logically, one on the rankings, one on how to give methodologies for mechanical, for electrical, for electronics. So logically you need to understand the subjects like programming, or say structures, how do you make in datas, or how do you make programs on systems, or how do you make compilers, general compilers, how do you make embedded systems, how do you look at those embedded systems on a motherboard, or how do you look at an embedded system in a machine, right, in mechanical, or how do you look at an embedded system in a printing machine. So printing department will come, right? So this is how we look at it. So once you know what is an embedded system, you have put inside everything. Once you have put inside everything in a system which becomes embedded, then we talk about artificial intelligence, right, in different processes. Because any embedded system has got different processes. Process 1, process 2, process like a geyser has got different processes. Putting on, then the water becomes hot. It's an embedded system. How do we look at it? How can we automate it? Can you imagine how I spoke on automation on geysers? because till date in India we don't have such a system wherein we can automate all the geysers or automate all the tanks or whatever it is. So think on these lines, make it more innovative, and you are doing it. You are having student projects 12, that is what is that, NASA or whatever, driverless car, or your Mars project. So many students are getting involved in that, so we can spread a message on that. So that's the way you look at it, right? Anything else?
So there's a question by third semester student at MIT that how can one initiate a on an idea into a research or a paper?
Yeah,
How to start
how
about?
can we make an idea into a research paper?
Yes,
See,
sir.
there is one main thing here which we need to understand. All of us have fear that we have an idea inside our brains. Why do we have a fear? Fear comes when something big is going on inside the brain. So there is an idea. We are having a fear. Now, what is a fear? Can I convert this idea into a good paper and then into a product? 80% of the time, it stops at fear, and we cannot convert that idea as a product. That is the difference between an entrepreneur and a researcher. An entrepreneur is a risk taker. Very good entrepreneurs who have completed their PhD and their idea got converted as products. One of them is Roy Fielding Thomas, who brought internet into this world through REST architecture in University of California, Irvine. Or you can take Sundar Pichai, but he is not a PhD. He became CEO of Google because he threw out Bing from Microsoft. He threw them out and he said Google Chrome has to be brought inside, and he won the game. Google Chrome became the main web browser. It became the main web browser in internet, and Bing was thrown out. And Google Chrome was made by Sundar Pichai. And that's how Sundar Pichai, who is one BTech graduate from an Indian Institute of Technology and did some master's degree, whatever it is. But how did he become famous? Because he had an idea, he had a product, and he didn't have that fear. He knew, he had the willpower that I can convert this idea as a product and it will be marketable. Now, how do we do it? How do we remove that fear? By improving our communication skills, right? This is how it goes. Right, like a very small example, I conduct certain consultancy programs for small kids in a program called as Asset, which is done for 5,000 schools in India and abroad. First I had a lot of fear, but now many children have come to accept that what ideas I am giving, it is transforming them. So anybody can do it. It is not only me, even you can do it, anybody else, any elder can do it. But the fear has to go from our minds. It is called as risk mitigation. The meaning of risk is, can we overcome the fear so that the idea can be made as a product? We might fail first time, second time, third time, but I am pretty sure even Lord Krishna said 101th time you make a mistake, but 102nd time you will win. So that is the way we should go about, right? And make your ideas feasible, and I'm pretty sure that idea can at least become a good research paper. You can at least get a very good job. If you have got, say, in the TCS, you might get that transformed into Amazon. So that's the way we look at it. So you can make transformations. If you get a job of 4 lakhs, you publish a very good paper, you might get a job of 15 lakhs. It gets transformed. So it's called transformation. So transformation comes by removing fear, and to remove fear, you should be good at taking risks, right? So taking risks means removing fear. And don't take undue risks. I am not saying go and stand before a railway train on the railway track. No, I'm not saying that. Or go and stand before the bus. There are certain prank mongers in local trains in Bombay. Have you seen? Prank mongers, they will stand, holding that rod, and they will be waving their leg outside. So many people have died. I am not saying do, take calculated risks. The meaning of taking calculated risk is you are sure that your idea is going to become product. And I advise all of you, please do 15 minutes of meditation and learn yoga. Every entrepreneur in this world does 15 minutes of meditation, even Ambani's, and they do yoga. Okay, that's the way. Okay, thank you. Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you. That's all.
If you want to meet me anytime, you can always take my number. Number I can pass on by email, or I can put in the chat box. I can put in the chat box, right? Chat box, where is it?
Yes, sir. Would like to thank you for guiding us through the.
Yeah.
Thank you
I'll
so
put the
much.
chat here. My number I will put.
Yes.